All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Christina Warren, and I am a senior cloud advocate at Microsoft, and I'm genuinely thrilled that so many of you have decided to show up to this talk, which is going to be covering an introduction to Microsoft Azure. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going through just some of the basics of Microsoft Azure, what it is, how to get started, and we're going to be doing a few demos along the way as well. So while I know some people are still just kind of settling in, while we do that, this slide will also be at the end of the presentation, but if you want to know where the resources are for this presentation as well as the rest of the presentations, these are the links that are available. And for this presentation, we are doing some demos, but there isn't a lot of code in GitHub, but all the event resources for everything that we're doing is here along the way. All right, so what is Microsoft Azure, right? Well, most of you probably know that Azure is Microsoft's cloud computing platform. But before we get into what Azure is and what it can do, let's talk a little bit about cloud computing and what it is and why you should care. And I'm going to make some assumptions that most of you in the audience are familiar with some of the core concepts of cloud computing, but I just want to go over a couple of terms that we will be using throughout this presentation about some of the things that go on with cloud computing. So one of the first terms is going to be infrastructure as a service, or IaaS. And this is a really flexible category of cloud computing. The idea here is that basically you're renting hardware in the cloud from someone else, whether it's Microsoft or another cloud provider, but you are in control of everything basically from the software level up. So from the operating system up, you're in control. The next category is platform as a service, or a PaaS, or a PaaS. And the idea here is that this is a great environment for if you want to build and test and deploy software applications. And the goal here is that you don't have to worry about what's happening with the underlying hardware or even a lot of the software configuration underneath your system. You can just focus on building and deploying your apps. And then the final category of computing is software as a service, or SaaS. And the idea here is that the software is going to be centrally hosted and managed for the end user. And it's usually going to be based on a system where one version of the application is going to be used for everyone in a group or a business, and then it's licensed on a monthly or an annual basis. And so Office 365, Microsoft 365, those are good examples of software as a service. And this image here is just kind of go over what some of the differences are. And so when we start with traditional on-prem, this is going to be the idea where you're going to be managing everything. All of your servers, all of your systems are under your control. When we move into infrastructure as a service, that's going to be, again, where everything from the OS level up is under your control and you're managing. And this would be, Azure has offerings, AWS has offerings, you can get offerings from other providers too. When we talk about platform as a service, this is when basically you are just managing the applications and the data, and all the underlying software underneath are things that are going to be taken care of for you by your providers. So we have a platform as a service model with App Service. Heroku is a popular PaaS, as is Google's App Engine and Salesforce. And then finally, software as a service, as I'd said before, everything is going to be managed by the person who's making the software, whether that's Microsoft with Microsoft Office 365 or Dynamics, or if you're having another solution. And I'd also want to go over kind of the typical journey that a lot of businesses, whether they're small or they're larger, go through when they are deciding to make the decision to move to the cloud, from having things hosted on-prem or maybe in data centers that they are still managing to moving things to the cloud. And so usually what happens is that first there's an idea of doing what's known as lift and shift. And so the idea would be you just take everything that you already have in your existing data center and you just put it up in the cloud, and it's pretty similar. The next step would be to start to refactor and re-architect those applications so that they can take advantage of the cloud more efficiently and maybe be more cost effective. And then finally, the next kind of step would be doing the idea of rebuilding and creating new applications and new setups that are specifically built for the cloud from the ground up. And so this is just kind of the little overview of what these options are. But now that we've talked a little bit about those terms of the cloud, why do you want to move to the cloud? What's the big deal? What's in it for you as a small business owner, a big business, or an individual? What's the big deal? Well, one of the biggest advantages is going to be that the cloud is more cost effective. So instead of having to pay for all of the compute power that you might not always use, you're paying as you go, and you're only paying for what you use. So the idea here would be, we have an e-commerce company called Tailwind Traders. And the idea with Tailwind Traders is that during a few months of the year, starting right now in November, going, through January, the business gets really busy during the holiday season. A lot of people come and place orders, and so they need more compute power. Well, with the old system, what you would need to do would be you would need to either manually provision your servers for those periods of time, or you would need to pay for those servers year-round, whether you were using them or not. And so the idea with the cloud is that it's scalable. So you can add more resources if you need to add a faster CPU. You can also add multiple CPUs, multiple machines if you need to take care of more, more people are coming to visit your website, or more people are using your application. You can add more resources. And you can also add things like faster processors and more memory. The big thing here, too, is that it's elastic. So you can, not only can you scale up and out, but if you need to contract those resources later on, you can do that, too. So for instance, Tailwind Traders, like I was saying, this time of year, which is, we're just starting kind of the holiday season, this is a big time. But in January, after returns are over and after kind of the sales have died down, business isn't going to be as brisk. And so some of those additional servers that Tailwind Traders decided to go ahead and spin up and use, they can just go ahead and spin down, and they don't have to pay for those resources the rest of the year. One of the other big advantages of moving to the cloud, especially a public cloud like Azure, is that it allows developers and operations people to focus on the things that they like to focus on, which for developers, we like to build apps, and ops folks get to focus on deploying applications. And so a lot of the maintenance work, so think about things like patching an operating system, or setting up new hardware, or configuring network hardware connections. That's all taken care of for you. So that's a really good feature. And then the big thing here too is reliability. And so when you're using a cloud system, not only do they have the opportunity to use one location, you can actually deploy to many locations simultaneously, whether you want to be able to reach customers in different parts of the world more effectively, or if you just want to have a backup in case something's going on. And so with Azure, we have things like data backups and options for disaster recovery, and also data replication in case something goes wrong. And this image right here, this is from New York Magazine. This is a picture of New York City in October of 2012. And in 2012, Hurricane Sandy hit New York City, it hit Manhattan, and it was a once-in-a-100-year storm. It was not something that we'd ever seen before, and this image shows that basically all of Lower Manhattan lost power, and the subways were flooded and shut down. My office that I worked out of at the time, we weren't able to get in for a couple of weeks. And it wasn't just buildings, it was also things like data centers. And so before I joined Microsoft, I worked in digital media, and I was fortunate that the publication I worked at the time was using the cloud, and we were not based in New York City with our data centers, but a number of major websites, like news websites, like the now departed Gawker and BuzzFeed and the Huffington Post, were mostly hosted in local data centers that were in Lower Manhattan, right where all the darkness is. And Squarespace was also there, and a lot of those websites went down, some of them for days at a time, and I spoke with some people from Squarespace about a week or so after Hurricane Sandy kind of calmed down, and they told me that at the height of what was happening, they were literally running up 10 or 11 floors, carrying buckets of gasoline to feed the generators so that they could try to get back online as quickly as possible. And I can tell you that those news publications that had their things hosted in on-prem data or on data centers, in Lower Manhattan, they all moved to the cloud after that incident, just because if you think something can never happen, never say never, because you never know what's going to go on. So the cloud gives you a lot of benefits when it comes to getting things back up and running more quickly, and also having more resiliency when it comes to being able to store things and serve things from multiple locations at once. And the cloud also offers some security. And so when we talk about security, we're talking about things like physical security. So the actual space itself, where there are the walls and cameras and gates and security personnel. And then we're also talking about digital security, which is about how your data is going to be traveling between data centers and over the internet. Now, that being said, I do want to be very clear that moving to the cloud does not mean that you don't need to worry about security. You just need to start thinking about security differently. So one session I want to point out, this is the first session in a learning path, and we've got another session that's going to be tomorrow from 2:15 to 3 o'clock. That covers security fundamentals. And so if you want to learn more about what you need to do to keep your cloud infrastructure secure, I highly recommend going to that session. All right, so now that we've talked a little bit about Azure, or about cloud computing in general, let's get into Azure itself. And so this map right here shows all of the massive numbers of services that Azure encompasses. As of right now, I don't think I missed anything major. I think that this is the latest as of probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Now, it's my job, like literally a big part of my job is to keep up with what is happening within Azure. And this is confusing for me, and it can be overwhelming for me. So I know that it can be overwhelming for our users, especially people who are just getting started. And so what we're kind of going to be going over in this session are just some of the core areas and some of the core offerings that we have. And then throughout this learning path, we go more into more depth into more of these areas. And so generally speaking, most of the services that are offered within Azure can be put into 3 different categories, which are compute, networking, and storage. And the one thing that I want to kind of point out about this slide is that underneath that you see security and management. And that, I want to be clear, is not a separate category. That's something that can encompass everything that you're doing. And so when we talk about our Azure compute services, we're talking about our virtual machines. And so they can be Windows or they can be Linux-based. We're talking about Azure Kubernetes Service, which is our container orchestration platform, which makes it really easy to manage containerized applications and containers. And we're going to talk more about the difference between containers and VMs a little bit later. And we're also going to be talking about Azure Functions, which is our serverless computing platform. And if you're not familiar with, we're going to talk more about serverless as well. And if you're not familiar with Azure Functions, if you've heard of AWS Lambda, what we offer with Functions is very similar to that, but we're going to talk more about that in a bit as well. And then when we talk about networking services, and we have another session that I'll actually be tomorrow morning going over this more in depth, we're talking about things like the Azure Virtual Network, so how you can connect VMs together using VPN connections. We're talking about the load balancers, which will help you manage inbound and outbound connections. And we're talking about things like the traffic manager, which will help you distribute traffic effectively and efficiently across various Azure regions. And when we talk about storage, this would be things like blob storage, and so this would be where you would store, objects like, a video file or a JSON file or images or Internet of Things data. We also have a file storage option if you want to have like more of a standard file server sort of setup. And then we have table storage, which is our NoSQL storage for unstructured data. And there's also a talk on this path with Azure Storage Fundamentals that is also taking place tomorrow. One thing I want to talk about too is when we talk about all of these different options, you want to think about how are we managing these things? How do we make sure that only certain people have access to certain things and that things, they're securely protected? And so what's kind of great about Azure is that we've taken the things that a lot of Windows IT Pro people have known for a really long time, which is Active Directory, and given that kind of ease of use in terms of assigning permissions to the Unix world, which is great. And so Azure Active Directory is our multi-tenant, cloud-based directory and identity management service. It has a centralized directory store. It is the same systems that are used by both Office 365 and Azure. So if you already have Office 365 set up, that same Azure Active Directory can be used with your cloud services. And it basically contains all the identities for all the users inside of your organization and makes it easy for you to say who has access to do what sort of tasks and access what sorts of resources. And we've got a session on Wednesday all about Azure Identity Fundamentals that gets more into detail about what you can do with Azure Active Directory and how to get started with that. All right, so real quickly now what I just want to do is want to switch over and show the Azure portal. And all right. So this is the Azure portal, and I'm using the new Microsoft Edge browser, the latest, I guess, a preview build. Can I get a show of hands? How many people have been playing around with the new version of Microsoft Edge? Yeah, good number of you. It's really great. If you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend it. It's available for Mac and for Windows. It's so good. So this is the Azure portal, and this has actually recently been redesigned. So if you've used this in the past and you're saying, oh, this looks a little different, that's because this was recently redesigned. And in the past, this section here, you can still have this docked on the side if you want, but in the past, this was always visible, and instead now it makes it a little bit cleaner. But I just want to kind of give you a kind of an overview of what the portal looks like and where you would go to create things. So for instance, I can access some of my favorite different options, some of my favorite different features, but if I just wanted to create a resource, I would be taken to the Azure Marketplace, which kind of gives me an overview of all the different things I could do. And so I could create really quickly a Windows Server 2016 data center, VM, or I could create an Ubuntu virtual machine. We're actually going to do that later. I could set up a web app or a SQL database or an Azure function. And you can just kind of go through the various categories, and you can see that there are lots of different options to get started with. And this system will kind of show you how to learn more and how to go ahead and create things no matter what you're doing. So this is the Azure portal, and one of the things you'll see is these are some of the recent resources that I've used in my own personal work. And you can see that I have a bunch of different things here, and I actually have a number of different subscriptions. And so what can make that difficult, let me go back now to our next topic. So you notice I have a lot of various resources. I have virtual machines, I have virtual networks, I have some storage environments, I have web apps. And no matter how you're using Azure, you're more than likely going to be having a lot of components to manage. And that can be a lot to keep track of. And so this is where the Azure Resource Manager, also known as ARM, comes in handy. And so the acronym is ARM, A-R-M, and so if you're trying to Google and learn more about this, that's what you want to search for. And the Azure Resource Manager is basically a way to organize resources together. And so how this works is that you're not seeing those components as separate entities, but you can see them as related and interdependent parts of an entire group. And so this lets you basically work with resources in your solution as a group. And so there are a number of different options. You can do this using the Azure portal. We also have a number of CLI tools, including PowerShell, and we have Bash tooling. And you can even have this built into some of your other clients that you might be using for your management. And the idea here would be that you have a consistent management layer, and it lets you, like I said, see the components and the different things that you're doing as related and independent parts of your network. And then you can also deploy, manage, and monitor those resources together as a group. And what's great about the Resource Manager is that you can do things like tagging, so that you can give things a name and group them together, which makes it really good when you're doing auditing to make sure that, I spun something up a while ago, I'm not using it anymore, want to make sure that I've shut everything down so I'm not getting billed for this. Or I want to make sure that all the security settings for everything in this particular project are set the way I want it to. And there are a couple of basic terms that you want to know about when we talk about the Resource Manager. And so the first is going to be a resource. And this could be anything that's manageable within Azure. So this could be, a VM or a web app or a database. And then the next thing would be a resource group. And the resource group is going to be basically just a container that's holding various resources together. But what's great is that you can decide how you want to allocate resources to groups. And so you can have things set up within subscriptions. Everything needs to be within the same subscription, but within that subscription, you can set your resource groups up however you want. So if you wanted to have a resource group that was just full of your virtual machines, you could do that. If you wanted to have resource groups organized by project where everything associated with that, the VM, maybe the storage container, some of the network security groups, maybe you have some other components, maybe you have a web app or two, all of those could be together. Or you could just have a couple of things related together that might be used other places. And so this is a really great way to keep track of what you're doing, and this also makes it easier, as I was saying before, for managing what's going on when you're going back through and auditing to see what's being used, what's costing money, and just to make sure everything's up to date. The next thing that we have, part of the resource manager, is going to be a resource provider, and that's just going to be a service that is going to be supplying the resource so that you can deploy and manage that. And so some of our common services, resource providers rather, would be Microsoft.compute, and so that would be supplying you like a VM or a container resource, Microsoft.storage, which is going to be giving you the information you need for a storage account, and then Microsoft.web, which would be giving you all the different resources related to a web application. And in addition to being able to create resource groups and launch things together, there's also the resource manager template. And what this is just a JSON file that basically defines all of the resources that you're going to be using for a certain project, and then deploys it to a resource group, and then it defines those dependencies between those resources. So it's you can kind of think of it like a map that's kind of outlining everything that you're going to be deploying. And what this looks like is, this is just kind of a sample. This is just going to be just a snippet of what I would have in a resource where I was calling a storage account. And so in this case, I've got my type, which is Microsoft.storage, and I've got it /storage accounts. I've got my API version, and that can vary, and what's important about that would be if you were using maybe an older version of an API, some features might not be available, so that's why that's there. It knows what to keep and what not to keep. And the location in this place, I would put a parameter in and what location I wanted, so I could pick what Azure region I wanted to deploy to. And for the SKU, I'm taking like what type of storage account we would be using. And then the properties field in this example is blank, but if I had additional properties I wanted to set, that's where I would put them. But it's a simple JSON file. It's readable, which is nice. And then this is something that you can then deploy either using the Azure Portal or using some of the CLI tools like PowerShell or Bash. And if you want to know more about resources and toolings, we actually have a really great session that's going to be tomorrow from 1 to 1:45 in this same room about Azure tooling and utilities that goes into more detail about ARM templates, how to work with them, as well as our other tools, including Visual Studio Code, PowerShell, Cloud Shell, and some of our other options. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what some of our main compute options are in Azure. And so in this case, we're going to be talking about virtual machines and containers to get started with. And we've got a lot of different compute options. And so what you really need to know, these details about how fast the various servers that you can get are, this is really not as important. You can know that you can go pretty high up for the general purpose VMs, up to 64 virtual CPUs and 256 gigs of RAM. We've got compute intensive and storage optimized compute options as well, and also some that have tremendous memory, like massive amounts of memory. So for instance, there's one where you can go all the way up to 4 terabytes of RAM, which is massive. And we have purpose-built and pre-built systems for SAP HANA. We also have graphics intensive options available. So if you wanted to do things with AI or deep learning you could take advantage of the graphics cards that are available and use those too. But really all you kind of need to know about this is that no matter what your needs are, Azure has you covered, whether you need to be just doing something on the smaller scale or you need something very, very powerful and you need to replace some really maybe high-end hardware that you might have for your needs. All right, so now let's talk a little bit about what is a virtual machine. And a lot of you in this room are probably familiar with what VMs are. And basically think about it as it's a software emulation of a physical computer. And so each virtual machine has its own virtual processor, so it has a segmented amount of processing power, it has its own memory, it has its own storage, and its own networking resources, and it hosts an operating system. And then you're able to install and run whatever you want on that VM, basically the exact same as if it were a physical piece of hardware. You can even use a remote desktop client and log in and control it the same way that you would a physical computer that might be located either on-prem in your office or co-located somewhere. The big thing here is that unlike containers, which we're going to talk about in just a second, VMs include a full operating system. And the way I always think about VMs is it's kind of like a pizza. The server is your pizza, and you can have the slices as big or as small as you want, but each slice is going to have those core components. It's going to have the crust, it's going to have the cheese, it's going to have the sauce, it's going to have the toppings, and you just choose how many resources you want. And so the process of creating a VM in Azure, and we're actually going to go through that at the end of this section, is pretty easy. It takes about 5 minutes. You can select a pre-configured virtual machine image, and you can also, it includes an OS, and sometimes it includes other software as well. And so the process is pretty simple. It takes about 5 minutes, and we'll go through that a little bit later. But now let's talk a little bit about containers, because containers have become really popular and they've been kind of one of the buzzwords over the last few years. And so containers are a virtualization environment, but the big difference is that the difference between a container and a virtual machine is that it does not include the operating system. Instead, what it's doing is it's referencing the operating system, in this case, the kernel, it's going to be referencing that and then just including whatever libraries and additional details it needs to run a particular application. So the big difference here is that all that a container needs is enough of the operating system and the supporting programs and libraries to run. So in practice, what that means is that you can often get 2 or 3 times as many applications using a single server if you're using containers versus what you can do on a VM. And then the big thing here too is that with containers, the big benefit is that you can create portable and consistent environments. And so what this image just kind of shows off is a little bit of the difference between a container and or a VM rather in a container. And so as you see, when we look at our VMs, whether they're type 1 or type 2, you have the operating system underneath on top of that VM, and then that has its dependencies that you might need for your application. So if I'm building a JavaScript application, it has whatever versions of JavaScript I need installed. It might have other additional software too, and then I have the app on top of that. Whereas with the container, what I'm doing is I just am referencing the kernel. I'm saying, okay, I know I'm using a version of Linux. This is what I'm going to be running all of my things off of. In one container, I'm going to be building a .NET app. And so I just need to have the libraries that I need for .NET. So I just have my .NET Core 3.0 libraries and maybe some other tools that I might be referencing. I can have a separate container that I'm using to build something in Python. And in that case, I wouldn't have any of the .NET resources. I wouldn't be bogged down with any of that. I would just have those libraries and just those dependencies that I would need for my Python application. And what makes this really nice is that because it's just making references to what versions I need, I could have different containers with different versions of different libraries. So if I had a Python 2 app, which is not a good idea because that's going end of life, but if I needed to have that, I could have that installed and use that container alongside another container that had all of my Python 3 libraries. And they wouldn't conflict with one another, which can happen frequently in a VM if you're trying to distinguish between different versions of different dependencies. And so, the big thing here, the advantage is that, there are lower utilization of resources, and it's containerizing the application in just the things that it needs. And so it's really good. And in Azure, the way we think about things is that we think about containers as being ubiquitous and being first-party citizens around everything else that we're doing. And so we actually have a good session tomorrow, which is exploring containers and orchestration in Azure. And that's going to be from 3:30 to 4:15, and that's going to go into the ins and outs of getting started with containers and also our Kubernetes orchestration platform. All right, so now let's just go ahead and take a look at the process of creating a virtual machine. So, my internet is not great, so if this is not going to be quick, I actually pre-recorded a demo and we'll just walk through it. So the process of creating a virtual machine is pretty simple. So I'm just going to go to create a resource. And in this case, I'm going to choose Ubuntu 1804 LTS, which is the latest long-term servicing release of Ubuntu. And yeah, this process is taking too long, so let's just go back to the demo a second. All right, so the process here would be as I said, I would just go to creating a resource. I could also do that from the side menu, so I'll go to creating a resource. You can see that when I'm going through the resources, there are a number of different options. I could get more information about this, and I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to click the create button. Now, I'm going to select the subscription that I want to use for this particular purpose, and so but you could, the great thing with Azure is you can have multiple subscriptions accessible in the same account. I'm going to give the resource group a name, in this case AFUN10. I've created a virtual machine that I've called Orlando Ignite, and then I've selected my region. In this case, I want it to be in the East US region. I've chosen that I want to use the Ubuntu image, and I'm just going to use the standard VM size for the purpose of this demo, but you could go bigger or smaller depending on what you wanted to do. And when it comes to my authentication, I'm going to enter in a username, and then I already created an SSH key, and I'm just going to provide that for it to access things. And now I'm going to say, okay, what public ports do I want to be able to be accessible? And in this case, I want the web, the HTTPS, and the SSH. Here I'm going to go through selecting my disk type. In this case, I'm just going to use a premium SSD. And I'm going to let it create its own new networking setup because I don't have any other networking interfaces to use. And it's going to go ahead and create that for me. And as I said before, I wanted the inbound ports that I wanted. Those are still available. This is just a page where I could add additional configuration settings if I wanted to do other things, if I wanted to add in Azure Active Directory. Here, I could add an init file for things that would happen when I started up the VM. In this section here, I could add in tags, which would just show the process of making it easier to manage things. And then I'm just going to click on the Create button and create that. And actually, if I wanted to deploy an identical VM later, I could have clicked on that Download Template for Automation button, and that would download an ARM template that I could use later. And so now this is just going through the process of setting up and deploying that virtual machine for me. And while that's happening, I also want to show you how you can do this using the Azure CLI. And so the Azure CLI is an option you can use in PowerShell or Bash from shell.azure.com or on Windows or Mac or Linux. And what it is it's going to be basically a command line way to interface with all of the different Azure options. So if the portal is something you don't want to use, or if you're more efficient using a CLI, I know I personally am, that's something you could do. And so in this case, what I've done is I've connected to my Cloud Shell, and then I'm entering in a set of commands that are going to be creating my VM for me. And so what I'm doing is I'm saying that I want it to create a VM. I'm giving the resource group that I want to use, which is AFUN10. I've given my VM a name, and I've chosen what image I want it to use. I've given the admin username I want to use for logging in. And actually, this is a little bit easier than going through the portal. I can just generate the SSH key directly in the CLI while it sets things up. And so now this is just going to go through that process of creating the VM. And this is something that will take a few minutes. And this is basically doing the exact same thing from the command line as what we were seeing in the Azure Portal. And like I said, this process just takes a couple of minutes. You can customize this however you want. This is something that is just kind of you can already see that already here, a lot of the resources had already been created in the portal. And so those operations are done. And now we're done, and it's finished creating the VM in our command line. And it's given me our public IP address that I could access if I want to access those things. And it's just finishing up the details of finishing up creating that main VM from the portal. I think that VM was a little bit bigger, so it might have taken a little bit longer. And what I can do actually is I can go back to my Azure dashboard, and I had the resource group that I put up on top, and I can see that there I go. All the different things that I created for both VMs are now visible. And so now the final step, the VM was created in the back end with the portal. And I can see what the public IP address is for that. And I can see that I have all my resources for both the CLI and the regular resource, or the Azure Portal rather. So that's just the process of getting up and running with a VM in Azure. It's a really simple process, whether you use the portal or if you want to use the command line. And now the next option we have, let me just go. We want to talk a little bit about different Azure compute options. And so when it comes to, this is when we get into serverless. And so we're going to be talking a little bit about serverless, Azure Functions, and Azure App Service. And so what is serverless? Well, the name is a little bit misleading because actually there are a lot of servers, but they belong to someone else. You don't need to worry about them. And so you don't need to manage the infrastructure, and in fact, you can't. And so what serverless computing is it's basically cloud-hosted execution environment that lets you run your code, but you're completely abstracted from the hosting environment. And so you can create an instance of the service, you add your code, there's no configuration or maintenance required or even allowed. And so the big idea here would be that it is event-driven, which means that you're only going to be paying for the time that your code actually runs. So you could have a lot of different serverless code available, but unless it's running, you're not getting charged for it, which is great. It's fully managed, and yeah, like I said, you're going to be charged based on the resources consumed, which means when it's running, and you can do capacity planning based on how long your code is going to be running. So if you're running a service or a bit of code that might be going for a long period of time, you might need more resources versus something that might be super quick. And the different options that we have kind of with serverless in Azure is we have Microsoft Flow. And this is going to be built using something called Logic Apps, and it lets you create really simple integrations. This is really designed for non-coders, for non-tech employees. So if you're familiar with If This Then That or Zapier, Microsoft Flow is really similar. So the idea would be, okay, I get an email to a certain address with a certain type of attachment or with something else in the subject line, and I want to do something with it. I could create a Microsoft Flow that would execute a certain process based on those parameters. The next thing would be we have Azure Logic Apps, and this is going to be very similar to Microsoft Flow, except it's actually designed for operations and IT pros and developers, so it's going to be a little more technical. And then we have Azure Functions, which is our serverless compute service, and that can be run locally or it can be run in the cloud. And then we also have Azure App Service Web Jobs, which will let you run a script in the context of an app service. And so when we talk about functions for a little bit, the big thing here is that the pieces of code are small and they're easy to run. You can develop them locally, like I said, they can be run locally or in the cloud. And you can use whatever development language you're most comfortable with. So right now we support C# and we support JavaScript and TypeScript and Java and F# and Python. And it also makes it really easy to integrate with other Azure services. And the runtime is actually completely open source, which is really great. And the idea with a function, let's go back to our example. We're Tailwind Traders. We have our e-commerce company, and maybe we have a function that says, okay, when a certain number of orders comes in, there are a certain number of steps we need to take to process those orders. And so I'm going to write a function that says, after I hit 10 orders, I want to run 10 processes in parallel, where I'm going to figure out where these things need to be shipped and figure out the tax and figure out some of the aggregate billing information. And it's going to execute all of those at once and then give me the final result. But it's only going to do that when I hit a certain threshold of 10 orders or maybe 100 orders or something like that. And so that would just make it a really easy way for me to accomplish maybe a more complicated compute really easily and on a more automated basis. One other thing I want to touch on would be the Azure App Service, and this is our platform as a service offering, and it runs on both Windows and Linux, and it takes advantage of containers, and it also has some serverless aspects of it too. You can actually create a function to create something with App Service. But the big thing here is that with App Service is that you can basically build and host your web application in whatever programming language you want, and it will do you can also have automated deployments from GitHub or whatever Git repository service you want to use. And so it makes it really, really nice to just be able to very simply say, I've created the code for this app. I don't really know what I need to do underneath it, but I can create an app service. App service will create the container for me, for instance, and it will say, okay, I see what libraries you're using with this JavaScript project, and we're just going to go ahead and create the container with those dependencies. And we're going to add those things to the container that we spin up and make it easy to manage and just make it kind of a one-click process. So I deploy it to app service, and it takes care of setting all the other things up for me. So it's really, really nice. And so I just wanted to point that out. And the big option here, too, is it's got a number of different options. It's available, like I said, for Windows or Linux. We also have, you can use it as like either a web app or web app for containers. So if you want to get started using containers, but you're a little bit overwhelmed by maybe learning about Docker and Docker files and what you need to do to set that up, Azure App Service is a great way to get started. And there's also a Visual Studio Code extension that you can use as you're building code in your editor to just deploy directly to an app service. So that's really good stuff. And there's actually an entire session on Azure Functions that also covers some of the app service things, going to be Wednesday from 1 o'clock to 1:45. So if you want to learn more about Azure Functions and Serverless in general, I highly recommend checking that session out. And the final thing, this I realize might be a little bit difficult to see, but this is just kind of our, it's a little overwhelming, I realize, our compute service decision tree. And this is designed to kind of help people figure out what type of compute resource do I need to use. And so in some cases I might say, well, I'm going to be basically copying everything that I already had on my existing on-prem setup and I want to move it to the cloud. In that case, a virtual machine is probably going to make the most sense. But if I'm creating something new, or if I want something that's more scalable, I might be wanting to look at setting up a container. And so in the resources section, you can get a copy of this slide deck, and you can go through that decision tree, and it just kind of goes through answering some questions about where you would want to go if you would want to create an app service or a container or a VM, or if you would want to use a platform like AKS. All right, so we're getting close to the end, and I know that this was a lot of stuff, but I did want to point out that learning this material, a lot of the things we went over in this session that we're going to be going over in the other sessions in this learning path can go a big step towards becoming Microsoft certified. And so we have certification paths right now for Azure Fundamentals, and if you go to this URL, you can get more information about getting certified in Azure Fundamentals. And in addition to some of our resources, I want to point out that we have a new learning resource that actually launched last year at Ignite called Microsoft Learn. It's a great place to go to learn more and get some hands-on training about what to do. It's really great because we have videos that walk you through what different things are, text, and then you actually have the ability to use Azure yourself in the web browser to try things out, whether it's spinning up a VM or creating a virtual network. It's really great. And so we've created a collection using the new collections feature of the various Learn modules that we discussed here at that URL. And the last thing I want to point out is that we have Microsoft Docs, Our documentation, I'm going to be honest, wasn't always fantastic, but in the last few years, the docs team has done just amazing work making sure that all the documentation not only stays updated, but it's actually open source. So if you see something that's either unclear or if you see something that needs to be corrected, you can actually make a pull request and do that. And so I've just created kind of a short link to get the getting started with Azure page, but all of the Azure documentation, it's really good stuff. And if you are interested in getting certified, we actually have an offer right now during Ignite where you can take a free certification exam, and this will, if you want to take the exam here at the show, you can, or you can wait 6 months. You have up to 6 months to take the exam. So if you think that you might have a good handle on what you would need to be certified in Azure Fundamentals or something else, highly recommend taking advantage of this offer because this is one of the best offers we have for certification, and we usually only do this once a year at Ignite. And now we're about out of time, but I'm just going to leave up. This is where the session resources are. And as I said, this is where you can find this presentation and the links to the different Learn modules and documentation. And if you would need to access anything else from any of the other sessions, that's where you can go as well. All right. Well, thank you all so much. And if you have any questions, I will be in the hub. Thank you very much.